Right, hello. I'm gonna call you B,
Are you okay?
Beth. Hello, Beth. B.
Hello.
You don't like Beth. You don't like being called Beth, do you?
I don't mind, since the more I've learned to love myself, the more I've actually not minded my name. But I do like it when my friends call me B.
I'm gonna call you B. So yeah, I'm the same as you. I'm born David, but I'm known as Dave. But I actually like being called David.
Do
Um,
you?
yeah,
I've
I
never
do.
called you David ever, and
I
I've known
mean,
you for years.
we can, if you want to. I really like it. When,
Do you?
yeah, I do. No, but I never, no,
Oh
but I
my
never,
gosh.
no, but I never used to.
Oh,
It's weird.
David.
I've told you that story. I've told you why. I think I was about 7 years old,
Yeah.
and I used to wear a t-shirt with David written on it, and it was my favorite t-shirt. I used to wear it everywhere. And then one day, this guy, I was with my mum in a shop, and a guy walked in, and he was a punk, and he looked down at me, and he read. I saw him read David across it, and he looked at me, and I was looking at him, staring at him, and he just went, "All right, Dave." And that
And
was
that was
it.
it.
And from that moment, I rebranded myself. Um, but then full circle, like what you just said, when I started to, you know, look differently about myself. I think it was when I was training to do hair, because in the salon that I was working in, the woman that ran it, she insisted on me being called David because it was better for, the shop floor because it sounded more like upper class than
Yeah, it
Dave.
does. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I don't,
Anyway,
I don't know if I could call you David.
no, you don't have
I
to.
think I'd
But
giggle every time I did. I mean, my granddad was called David, so I love the name. I love him. I love you too. But yeah,
yeah,
I just always known you as Dave.
well, it's a strong, solid name. It's biblical, but Dave is like everyone knows the Dave, and Dave is quite um a disarming name, isn't it? It's quite a all right, Dave. It's just like everyone knows the Dave, right?
Yeah.
It's a friendly name.
Yeah, I always have a thing of like, I like to call people not their names, as you know, and like some other name that isn't their name, like even shortened version of something. So
Yeah.
it's always, I find it so endearing having little names for everyone, like nice names. They're not always so keen, but I love it
Yeah.
because
Well,
so even you've had a few names as well.
you've had some names.
Lulu is what I call you most of the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, you can call me whatever you want.
Okay.
I'm going to stick with B. So, we've known each other for it feels like an eternity. Um,
God, doesn't just. I'm joking.
what do you mean by
I'm
that?
joking. I'm
Um,
joking.
so to rewind, to give it context for anyone listening, I'm gonna, what are you? What do you, how do you see
What
yourself?
am I?
Well,
I
no,
think I'm human. I'm not sure, but
how do you see yourself? Because I know you
oh,
to
that's
be
a
like,
horrible question.
but I know you to be like this. When I first met you, I knew you to be, the description was you're a singer.
Yeah.
You're a singer. That's what I was told by Dom, who did the
Hmm.
intro. Um, and that was a time, that was quite a long time ago, and you was in this phase in your life where you're very far away from that now.
Mm.
And a lot's happened in between that. But
For both
you're
of us, eh?
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, how do you see yourself?
That's a very good question. You know what? I am part of me. I guess I am a singer and songwriter, and that's what my passion is and my love. I also am a pranic healing therapist, which is my other passion and love. I'm also just a soul on a journey, just living an experience. And I don't know how you could get deep into it and be like, we're not any of those things. We're just living an experience, but they're passions of mine for sure. And I've sort of just trying to lose the attachment um, to so many things, if that makes sense. They're trying to like just be, this sounds really, I don't know if I'm making sense at all, but just trying to like connect to my true self, my inner self, and express that, and then whatever way, and work on the things I love to do. And
Yeah.
then now I'm sort of I'm following a journey of wherever that takes me, as long as I stay consistent and remain passionate at what I love to do. And even the things I don't love to do, if they're for the things I love, then it's still passion.
Yeah.
Because I've spent, as you know, Lou, I've spent years in crisis, hysterics, so upset because I've not got to where I want to be. I'm not
Hmm.
who I thought I wanted to be. All of this stuff. And when what I really realized very recently is that I think even if I got there, it wouldn't have been enough, because actually what I was running from was myself and some of the trauma within me, if you know what I mean. So that
Yeah. Yeah.
that sort of, if I'm being honest, I think that seeking recognition, need to be seen. I need to be touring the world and to be seen. Whereas now I'm understanding that I want to come from a truer place, which is to be of service more, I guess. So the energy is slightly different. I don't know if I'm bouncing around here because I do this a lot, but just try and rein me in.
No, I'm not going to rein you in because I understand what you're saying. I'm pretty sure anyone that's listening, it makes sense. It
Does
does.
it? Because
Yeah, it
okay.
does. And
So basically, I'm trying to run a purer road to be of service to myself first, because I've never done that,
yeah,
and then of service to others, because that's really what brings us joy, isn't
uh,
it?
yeah.
Really, and then however that comes out will
Hmm.
be my destiny, and I've sort of made peace with that.
Yeah, yeah. So in layman's terms, I'm going to say that the way I can interpret what you've just said is until we harness um, and embody how we want to express ourselves with us first and foremost, then we can outwardly express it outwardly, like and be of service to others, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I think basically it starts with within us. And for me, I can only ever speak from my own experience, but hopefully people can relate. But I was, as you know full well, I've been running from myself for my whole life.
Hmm.
And I am very ambitious as a person. I'm very career driven. I am naturally. I have lots of things I would love to achieve. But on the flip side of that, it's so many topics to talk about, because a lot of our drive in life, or from my drive in life, was driven from trauma based, right? So
Yeah.
feeling inadequate, not liking myself, not wanting to be seen, wanting recognition, fear of rejection, all of this stuff was
Hmm.
feeding and fueling a lot of my uh, above and beyond, like, tenacity, which in a way is a good thing, in a way
Hmm.
is a bad thing. So everything has a good and bad side, everything's light and dark.
Hmm.
So then, but then when you take away, you start working on those things. I don't know, things look so different now. It's like my journey's taken a different turn, because the pressure I was putting on myself to fulfill and succeed these desires. And I really, to be honest, David, I really had to get like honest, truly honest with myself. Um, and that was actually all thanks to my teacher, Les Flitcroft, who
Mm.
is the director for the Institute of Pranic Healing in the UK and Ireland.
Mm.
He sort of shared, he really made us all look at ourselves and was like, what is, when you're being kind to people, when you have these drives in life, are they driven from insecurity? Basically, I'm paraphrasing, or are they driven from purity? And for me, I really had to get real with myself and be like,
Yeah.
gosh, am I being really nice to these people because I want to be, or because I'm scared they're going to reject me? If I'm being honest,
Yeah.
am I fighting for this career because I'm desperate to be seen, because I've always been felt unseen in my life? And when you start really connecting to that, my ego did not want to connect to that. No, I'm a really nice person. That's not me. But actually, that is a part of me for sure. And there is a
Yeah.
part of me that gets cross and angry and all of those things. I'm just a human. So
Mm.
when I start to work on those things, I realized, my road started changing, my perceptions started changing, my desires, although they're still there, have
Hmm.
become different now. Does that make sense?
100%. And I think, and I want to definitely you to, for anyone that's listening, explain more about pranic healing because, and we'll get to that. But pranic healing, from what I understand, and I know a little bit about it through yourself, is it's all to do with energy, right? So correct me if I'm wrong, B, but it's almost like the energy or spirit for what we put into something needs to be the right energy and spirit, right?
Well, the thing is, yeah, in essence, but the thing is, with when we say the word energy, it gets so misconstrued. A lot of people switch off because it's been so heavily connected to woo woo and spiritual
Yeah, I know.
and you know, but actually, we are in a sea of energy. Energy is all
Yeah.
around it. We are atoms vibrating in
Mm-hmm.
between parts of energy. So if you look at it in a more scientific way,
Mm-hmm.
that there is a science to you know, we have an energetic system, and
Yeah.
there's a science for that, just like there's a science for the physical anatomy. You know, there's a
Mm-hmm.
science for the physical, there's a science for the energetic, and now scientists have sort of discovered that, you know, we do have a bioplasmic body, which is essentially an
Mm-hmm.
aura. So if we are to have an energy system, then that energy system needs to be looked after just like the physical system. So
Mm-hmm.
that's in essence where pranic healing therapy comes in.
Yep.
And then it's really as a school of teaching. So it's not just how to heal the body, but it's how to, you know, change your life in so many different ways. But kind
Yeah.
of in essence, that's what it is.
Thank you for explaining. And it makes perfect sense to me. It's one of them things where you're right. It's got a lot of stigma attached to it. As soon as someone says energy, it's like, oh man, he's one of them.
Yeah.
But I've always understood it.
He's one of them. It's true, isn't it? Oh,
No,
here we
yeah.
go.
But I've
Get that
always
white cape
understood.
out in a minute.
But I've always understood it as like it feels right to me. If it feels right for me, I can only talk for me. If it feels right to me, then it is right for me. And why am I not gonna, why am I gonna ignore that? So I lent into, you know, um, such matters, I wanted to be curious, I wanted to explore,
Yeah.
investigate. And my life has changed because of it, for the better. So there's something in it for me, and I think we just need to be a little bit more open to things. That's what I think. So it's good that they've got some science backing it up because
Yeah.
what is it they say? It's a bit like gravity, right? Explain that one. It's like the unseen, but there's something there. We all know that, but we can't.
Yeah, well, it's just like there was now I'm sorry because I might get these dates wrong, but there was an experiment back in the early 1900s where I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry, I should have researched this, but a doctor was practicing. He was a surgeon. I want to say it's like 1929, like early 90s, 1900s. Anyway, he had discovered that there might be something called germs on the hands, and there were lots of fatalities in the hospitals. And he discovered that if you wash your hands, there were less fatalities. And then realized that, you know, there were germs on our hands, but obviously you can't see germs. Now, at that time, this is true. You can go and study this. At that time, he was literally laughed out of the
Mm,
practice, and I think not longer. So he was signed off. He got his what would it be? His like doctor's certificate, whatever. He was striked off the sort of the register,
yeah.
and then not that long after was actually placed in a mental institution, which ironically he died of a cut, a wound on his arm or something that then became infected and he died from.
No way.
So, and then
Mashallah.
obviously moving forward, you know, not that long, you know, literally less than 100 years ago, move forward to, you know, being common practice to wash your hands and us understanding there's germs on our hands. However, we can't see germs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it makes sense. It does. I mean, it's just a part of the brain, and I'm going to speak for myself here. There was a part of my brain, right? Um, like you, I used to be running around, full of my ego and, thinking I knew best and blah, blah, blah. And my mind was closed. That was the problem. My mind was closed. It was limited. I was um, operating on a very low frequency, if you want to call it that. And it was evidential in my life, loads of evidence that, you know, there was a lot of consequences to that attitude, because it is an attitude for me. But once I opened my mind up, and for me, it took a lot of bullshit and misery, and don't need to get into all that. Anyone that's listening has probably heard it a million times. I opened my mind up. I had no other choice. I had to just sort of go, right, I need to be a little bit more open to this stuff. And look where I am now because of that. So I've got so much evidence that if you just open your mind up to the possibility that there's more, because there is abundance, infinite more. There's more, more, more.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? Like, I love that. It's like that evidence based, then, isn't it? And
Hmm.
something in again in Pranic, but I don't want to keep like forcing Pranic, but it's just something that's changed my life. So obviously, I'm very passionate about it. But what I love about it is that we're taught when when you learn it, which anyone can learn, you're taught to don't believe anything blindly, go out and get your own results. So when I
Yeah.
first did it, I mean, as you know, I'd struggled a lot in my life. I'd really struggled terribly with mental health, drug addictions, eating disorders, suicide, attempted to. So I know that sounds dark, but that was the truth of it then, because I was just meant. I was so upset. I was an
Mm.
upset little girl, and I needed help, and I didn't know how to get help, and I tried everything. And then when I did my first course of pranic healing, and I thought it was a load of crap, to be honest. And I went back out to life and started spiraling. And we were like hanging out a lot then, Dave. And then remember, I did, if you remember this, I did trauma therapy and I was so ill. I was so ill and I was bedridden. And do you remember I would cry all the time? Every
Yeah.
time we went out, I'd cry all day, all
Yeah.
night, like all the time.
Yeah.
And, we laugh about it. We can laugh about it now, which is what I love about life. But at the time, it was really highly traumatic. And, so then but I'd always find myself back at a pranic
Mhm.
healing therapist's office, like a clinic, funnily enough, because the soul knew. And then I then did the next two courses, and you do a course called psychotherapy.
Yeah.
And that was absolute game changer. And then I said, right, I'm going to do this for a year. I'm going to do what's suggested for a year. And then I'm going to make my own conclusions, fully thinking I
Mhm.
was going to leave in a year. And then honestly, as you saw my growth within a
Yeah.
year remember, I was doing the meditations every day and then started doing healing to someone new as well. And I was just sort of like learning about it. And my life very quickly started to change. And
Yeah.
then I thought, oh, okay, there's something in this. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I've followed that process the whole time. Oh, let's see if this works. Having that real like analytics. I'm very analytical in mind. And
Yeah.
the modern day founder of Pranic Healing, who created it today, Master Choa Koksui, he was a chemical scientist.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
very analytical in brain. So he's created
Yeah.
it like it's very scientific in its approach,
Mm.
very evidence um, formulated, and very like that. There's lots of it's encouraged to validate, basically, lots of
Yeah. Yeah.
validation,
Yeah.
which is great. But yeah, so and even like when I've got a clinic now and I have clients and I absolutely love it. And
Amazing.
and sometimes, Dave, they message me, they go, oh, I had a message the other day from this lovely client I have, and he'd had this rash on his face, and he texts me 2 days later with a picture of the rash and the picture completely gone. And even sometimes I go, oh, oh, it does
Oh.
work, because
Oh.
obviously, because we constantly, as I find, as human beings, need because we've got five senses, don't we? So we need that
Yeah.
validation in the five sense world. But
Yeah.
actually, there's so much more going on that we don't
Wow.
realize.
Yeah. 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 Thank you so much for sharing that. Who'd have thought, eh? Who'd have thought? And you said that I bared witness to it, and I did, and I can vouch for that. I saw you, and you was lost, you was broken. I
Oh
mean,
my
them
gosh.
them two words, you was lost and you was
Yeah.
broken, right?
Yeah.
And I certainly am one that can relate to that. I'm sure other people listening can relate to those two words and what that means to them. Maybe is lost and broken. And when you're in that place, you feel like you're going to be there forever. And I remember, I think that's part of it is the desperation, the hopelessness, and it's really not a great place to be in. Excuse me, and it's not sustainable. And it makes perfect sense why we medicate on that and self-medicate, whether we want to do that illegally or, you know, or do it in a different way and do it, you know, go to someone and say, look, I need help to medicate on this. And you know, you got to do whatever you got to do and follow all the different paths to see where they lead, I guess. And through that experience, you'll figure it out or not. And I tried that, you know, I tried those different ways, like you. I was lost, broken, and I'll go back to what I was saying, which is your experiences. When you are in that place, you've got to just open your mind up to, you know, you went and did something that might work for other people, you know, going and doing conventional, you know, modalities of therapy
Oh
or
yeah, I
whatever.
tried everything.
Yeah, and it's
Everything. Nothing worked.
it
Didn't touch
just
the sides.
yeah, it just goes to show that it's, you know, what works for some people doesn't work for others. But I've bared witness to it. I've seen you transform, you know, not into perfection, obviously, as we know, but you've transformed progressively to a point in your life where, look at you now, you're actually holding a space for others and helping them um, figure it out as well. And that's incredible, man.
But do you know what the missing link was? Holding space for others, but actually now I hold a space for myself. That was the missing link for me. So, you know, always, you know, walk the walk, don't talk the talk so much. I've learned that for myself. So, you know, it's really important for us because we are just humans. None of us are perfect, nor do we want to be. We're learning and growing always. Even
Mm,
people you truly admire and look up to, they're still just humans learning and growing. You can admire someone, but they're still just human beings, you know?
mm,
And, you know, for me, yeah, like my missing link was that looking after self.
mm,
Because, yeah, like, you know, I was doing coaching for a while, but I was still broken inside and struggling so much. And, you know, I, I needed to do, I needed to do that for myself,
mm.
you
Well,
know?
there's a lot of people. You know, I'm in that camp of people that have tried to. Well, don't think I was that extreme, but I think a lot of people do lean into trying to be of service to others, but they're still broken because if they're helping others, they haven't um, necessarily got to do the work themselves. You know, they can just put
It
that.
can be avoidance
Yeah,
for sure.
it can be. Yeah,
I've been that. That's
yeah,
what
yeah,
I've
yeah.
done for many years.
And that's okay. Look, I'm not digging people out. I'm just saying that that's a human response to feeling like, yeah, you said it, avoidance, deflecting away from having to go to that place of pain, and that's just part of the journey. The
Well, and
important,
also it's like, sorry to
yeah,
butt in,
yeah,
but just like we were saying earlier about the light and dark in life, but there's
mm,
still light in that because you're helping people still. So that's, you know
absolutely,
what I mean? But you know, something I've learned to come to learn is
mm,
it's really important to shine that light inside of
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. It'll only get you so far. It's not sustainable. But you know, I've been that person who, you know, I came into a space of healing, my own healing, and I remember thinking I don't really see myself being in that space of helping other people. I was quite selfish actually early on in my own journey of healing. I just wanted to heal myself and get on with it. And at that time, I was still very much in the world of entertainment. You know what the world that you was in. You know,
Mm.
and still are in. And and I had no interest in being of service. I remember someone said to me once, you know, Dave, the problem with you, mate, is you just don't help anyone. Honestly, that was someone that said that to me, and this is going back a while. It didn't at that point make me want to change things. It took a while, but I got to a point in my own journey where I actually, and it's because I started to heal myself. When I started to really, like you say, when I felt strong enough within myself, I could then step into that role.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what happened. And I think that's where you're at now, definitely.
Yeah, and also, you know, like we were chatting earlier, and you know, what you said I could be truthful on this, so I love that we could just have this honest conversation because I wouldn't always maybe speak this openly, but you know, we live in a world which I'm sure so many can connect with, right? Where firstly, our first 5 years of life, which children are, you know, we go through it conditions us. So whatever we've been through in those first 5 years could be tiny little things, but it
Mm,
starts to have an effect on the child, right? Then, as we grow up, we are conditioned, we are put into a system that is conditioned to close us down, right?
Hmm.
And go into the Western world where all we're taught is fear-based thoughts, right? And to not believe in anything, to close us down, to be manipulated into buying loads of stuff, and to forget who we truly are. Because actually, if we step into who we truly are, we are actually quite magical, and we really can. There's a law in the universe. We can manifest what we want. We can, I mean, we can manifest a good life. Basically, if we have
Hmm.
dreams and ambitions, we can achieve those. We don't have to run the system. I'm not trying to sound um, I'm not trying to sound controversial. I'm not trying to sound like conspiracy theorist at all. But there are facts if you go out and you do your research.
Hmm.
That's all factual what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and the world has been conditioned for a few, not for the world. And from my understanding, things are changing because of the energies and because
Mm.
of truths coming out now, where
Yeah.
people can actually have a mind of their own to think more clearly, because we're just so suppressed from such a young
Mm.
age that how is anyone going to actually think for themselves, or what are their own thoughts? How
Yeah.
are we going to heal ourselves? How we're not taught, all we're taught is that if you buy this, you'll feel better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you look like that, you will feel better. But we all know that's bullshit.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. If you get that dream job, the house, the wife, the kids, you're going to feel amazing. And we know that ain't true. It can be true for some, but it's
Mm.
not the truth, because the truth is whatever we feel inwardly is what we are outwardly, basically. So we're not taught to look inside. We're not taught to sit and reflect, to
Mm.
to meditate is simply to have awareness. That is what meditation is. We're not taught to have awareness, to look at ourselves,
Mm.
to actually be honest about ourselves, to ourselves, to come, we're not taught about our traumas. We're not taught about, our inner child. We're not taught how that can affect relationships, and how a lot of the time in relationships we are wounded children, scared shitless of each other. We're not taught that. I wasn't taught that. So I'm out here like scrambling in the world, thinking I can't cope and I don't want to be here, because that's exactly what the world has created us to feel. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So then we need these other outsources. We need this, like, we need to connect to something. We need to connect to ourselves. We need to understand who we truly are. We need to understand what we truly love, what truly fulfills us.
Mm.
And I'm telling you what, it ain't anything material.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And it's not propaganda. This isn't a propaganda channel. This
No,
is
it's the truth.
yeah, exactly. Well, look, I from where I'm sitting and my own experience, you know, I salute you because that's my experience as well, and I really
But it's
identify with what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's not even solution. It's like because that's what it's just no one's taught that. So no one
Mm.
knows, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like people should be guided to their own light, because we're all
Mm.
beautiful beings.
Yeah.
Just and we all deserve, there's so much light around for people, but we don't realize it. And that's what
Mm.
I guess I'm trying to say, is that there's so much beauty around.
Yeah, I think what come up for me with what you were saying, and this always comes up for me, is there's two words, power and obedience, right? And I don't feel like they're compatible in a way, if you know what I mean. So let me explain. So I don't ever see myself as being obedient. I don't think I'm the sort of like an obedient kind of person, If you tell me to follow a set of rules, I'm probably going to go, I don't want to. It's just in my nature.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of I use the word lone wolf, I'm a bit of a lone wolf. I think outside the box. It's the way that I have always lived my life. I've always seen the world differently. Maybe I'm wired that way, or like you say, conditioning. You know, I was conditioned to, you know, um, live a certain way, but I knew deep down in my heart, in my soul, in my guts, that this isn't how I'm meant to be living. There's a different way. And I just had to find it. And the word power, for me, that emotion, the spirit of power, what is that? Well, there's a lot of it in the world, without getting too into it, but, I had to find my own power. I had to find my own power, and I do have that. I've had that for a long time now, and it's fucking great. So,
Yeah.
anyone that's listening, are you just, it's just something to contemplate on. Do you feel like you are following a path that is true to yourself? Don't worry about anyone else. Do you feel that you're on a path that's true to yourself? You know, what is your true purpose? Are you living it? And do you have any power in your life? And I'm not talking about an unhealthy, egotistical, narcissistic power that is available if you want it. I'm talking about a really genuine, authentic, beautiful, kind, nurturing power that's fucking limitless.
Well, yeah, there's external power that is, derived from insecurity, and then our internal power. And that, like all our life's purpose is so different for everyone. Like some of my friends, their dream is to be, have babies and live as a home mummy, and that's gorgeous because that's what
Mm,
they're meant to do. There's
yeah,
some I have real serious career ladies in my life that want it all, but in the most beautiful way, and then
yeah.
there's everything in between. So all of our destinies are equally as magical as important. But the most important thing is, yeah, finding your own power, but also acting from love. And love
Mm,
is also power, because
mm,
love is very powerful as well. You know, and being kind to self, and therefore being kind to other people, because actually what I've learned to come to learn myself is by healing myself, I'm healing the world. And that's it. If we all sit and heal ourselves and obviously help each other, my gosh, wouldn't that be a gorgeous world to live in? So
mm,
that's kind of like that's where I'm coming from now is that like what can I do in my immediate circle? Because I wanted to sell out Wembley Stadium. I'd love to still. I wanted to do this and do that. And it's like, well, actually, forget all that. What can I do to create that now? How can I use
mm,
that for now? Not for myself, not for my own self-esteem to make me feel better, but what can I do to help myself to learn to love myself? And let me use that word learn, because I have not mastered it yet, but I'm on the path. And to help other people, and that's beautiful. And then also, like you say, to live your true life's purpose, whatever that may be. And if you
mm.
don't know, love yourself and love others, and it will come. That's kind of like that's where I'm at right now.
I
A couple
love
of years
that.
ago, I might not have
I
felt
love
so
that.
so like that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're a lyricist, right? You're a songwriter. You do write incredible. The way you put words together is an art form. It's really good how you do it. And I know a few other people that personally that are really good craft. What's the word? Wordsmiths, craftsmen of the
Wordsmith.
words. Yeah, songwriters.
Oh,
You're brilliant, and I just want to talk about that for a bit, right? So, um, what is music to you?
oh gosh, music is. First of all, I'm going to say thank you for saying that because very recently I really struggle to take nice things in, really struggle. And in fact, I reject them, but that's not good for us to do. So I'm learning just to listen and accept because all I want to go is, oh, no, I'm not. And blah, blah, blah. But it's like,
Yeah,
I'm just going to say thank you.
yeah, take
And
it.
yeah, I was going to take it. I'm so comfortable, but it's good. It's, I'm learning, I'm growing. But you know what? Music, for some reason, for me, is just my absolute everything to me. I live, sleep, eat, breathe it, and I can't help it. And I felt bad for it because I get a bit obsessive sometimes, but it makes me emotional because music has honestly saved my life time and time and time. It's my deepest love. I've always said I've never truly been in love because I've never truly allowed to love myself, I think. I
Mm,
have been in love, but that true, like, you know what I'm trying to say. And, but then very recently, I was like, no, I've always been madly in love with music. It
mm.
is my first love. And honestly, I've been on dates with guys and they're like, I'm secondary. And I'm like, actually, you are. Yeah, you are. I'm sorry, but you are. So then I feel so fulfilled because I've got my true love.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. So I noticed about you, that how much it means to you. When I first met you, um, I was told that you are like a really incredible singer, blah blah blah. I didn't know too much about you, and then I think I kept it that way. I just wanted to meet you on face value, and I met you, and you was just like this ball of energy from what I recall, and you was just like it seems ages ago. It seems like you was really young then or whatever, but you
I
weren't. You were
was.
no, you weren't. You weren't that young. Um,
We met 10 years ago.
Well, I don't know. Let's leave ages out of it.
I was a little puppy. You used to call
But
me puppy.
yeah, but like yeah, but you was in a you was really early on in the journey of where, you know, transforming and getting to where you are now. And I don't really feel like we need to touch on that time because that's the past, but um you were very much just focused on music. From what I recall, you was just, it was all about the music at that time. But you was still wanting to be of service because at the time I was working for, um, uh, I'll just say it, the Winehouse Foundation.
Mm.
Um, and I was working there, doing stuff. And you wanted to come in and help because you'd just come back to the UK, and that's how we started to engage. You started doing some sharing your life story, didn't you, and stuff. We was doing workshops and
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, it was the first time I got sober properly. Like I was sober, but I didn't get real with myself. And, you know, I, I was publicly shamed on TV. I was on a TV show. And at the time I think it affected me a lot more than I realized. And you picked up on this, but I think I blocked it out. So
Yeah.
I got up and got on. That was how I dealt with it. It's how I've always
Mm,
dealt with life, actually. But with getting up and get on, it's good. It's a superpower. But also, if you're suppressing that stuff, then it comes to bite you in the bottom, which it did later on. But I'm very fortunate though, Dave. Like I met an amazing team, Karma Studios in Thailand, and my manager, I met a new manager. I came back. He'd connected me to the Amy Winehouse Foundation. I just wanted to help. I wanted to forget myself and just help and
mm,
just try and come back to normality a bit as well. And then I met you, and like you're one of my dear friends, so I feel blessed, you know. And then we had a great summer that summer, and as much as
mm.
I had a lot of pain in my heart and my being, it was also a really lovely time, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Um,
it was,
so yes, I
it
came
was.
back. I was rebranding as Luna. I put down Beth Morris because actually I was hiding, so I was scared shitless and full
Mm.
of fear, trauma, and pain.
But
And I
you had a lot of like, just to, and then we'll move on from it. You, like what I picked up on, I knew, you know, there's no way you can go on like, you know, live TV and then be on the front page of a paper and all of what happened, the way it played out, that was fucking horrendous. And they should be
yeah.
fucking appalled at themselves, the people that were involved in that. My, just my
Well,
opinion, you know.
yeah, and then people would say, "Well, it was my choice to be on national TV." I think the thing is that what I really want to change in the industry, I sort of don't do the industry. I do my own thing now, and I create my own thing of
Good
love
for
and
you. Yeah.
honesty and truth because that industry is not any of that.
Mm,
Um, and I think moving forward, what we've got to realize is media it's a big it's just bullying.
hmm
It's gossip and bullying nationally. Like it's not okay on any level to speak badly of anything or anyone. We should be speaking
hmm
factually. It shouldn't really be opinionated, because it's just people's opinions. And to
hmm
be honest, Dave, if we're going truthful, most of what we read is not even true. Do you know
I
what I
know
mean?
it's
The
mad, isn't
media,
it?
that news isn't true. Like what's
Mad.
really going on in the world is not documented, and we don't know about it because if we did, things would be very different. And so actually, it's a load of lies and crap. But at the time, I hadn't really awoken to the fact that that was the truth.
Yeah.
And it was very damaging. And yes,
Mm,
I was a nobody. It was just because it was the BBC and it was about drugs. It was front page worthy news. But
mm.
for that one day's story that people forgot, really affected my life for many, many years after. In fact, I think I've only just properly healed from it now.
Well,
And
I'm
that's
glad
been
to
a
hear that.
decade.
I'm glad to hear that. And you know that's tough. So anyway, let's move on from that. So you was being of service. I mean, carrying all of that around at that time, I think it was really, I really admire the fact that you know, and we were safeguarding that, you know, putting you into stuff. I wanted to safeguard the fact that you was in that place, but you was sharing your experience with other people, you know, young women who were,
Yeah, it
you
was
know,
very fresh, wasn't it?
yeah, there's that group of young women that you were,
Oh, I loved them.
yeah, that you were mentoring, and that was great, and that was part of your journey. And then from that point. I think you started to, when you felt ready, did you feel like, right, I want to give this another go? And you started to really get back into it, into the
Well, to
scene.
be honest, I got straight back into the saddle. I didn't ever stop. That was the thing. But what I realized is that I would work like this is what people don't realize. It's quite nice to talk about it sometimes because I've worked so hard, and I never say this. It makes me a bit emotional actually. I've worked so hard behind the scenes, and people because I don't share it or people don't realize what we all do. You know, like when success happens, they're like, "Oh gosh, overnight success." It's never overnight success. People are they're ducks going like this all the time, but just it's
Yeah.
just not documented. But I never stopped. The thing that stopped me was actually, I'd get on stage and do these. We did some great stuff actually afterwards, not long after. But I'd have trauma attacks after, and I'd hide for days. And when I was about to release my music, I'd go into absolute trauma where I would be hysterical on the floor. And
Mm,
it was such a painful time. And I don't think people realize that the repercussions from not just what happened on The Voice, but from stuff I hadn't dealt with from my childhood,
yeah.
had really affected me. So actually, it's taken me a good few years from getting sober after The Voice to now of real digging and digging and digging and healing and healing
Mm,
and healing, healing. I haven't stopped being relentless
mm,
to get me to a place of, and then that's when Pranic came and really started vastly
mm,
changing things to a place of like I'm able to talk about things from love rather than from pain, which is lovely. And I'm just about to write my album. I've never written my album because of what I'm sharing with you. It always
mm,
stopped. Everything stopped because of me actually. and
mm.
and then I'd keep going again, but it was always missing that core, which was me healing that inner bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So since I've been doing that true work, I'm now decided to write my album. I was showing to you before we went on
Mm,
live, and I want to dye my hair natural, and I've not got makeup on today. I'm really enjoying that, and
mm,
I've never, like I said, I'd never liked my name. I've never actually liked myself. So now I want to step into liking who I am because this is
mm,
what I've been made to be. So why should we not? It's what the body we've got is a home we can never get rid of. So let's love
mhm,
it. So
mhm,
I'm learning to do that, and actually I'm going to start writing from a real place of authenticity because whenever I have done that before, I've always laced it up with jokes and fun, and because that's me,
mhm.
I've always avoided it with laughter and all of so this
Yeah.
time it will be nice to write from, I don't even know, I'm opening a door that I've never been in, Dave, to be honest, and I'm really looking forward to and full of fear to do it. But it'll be from a place of love now, not from the place of pain and trauma. So hopefully that energy, because what I've realized is songs are alchemy, like songs are spells. And in the
Mm,
industry today, I'm going to be out there again. A lot of the songs that we sing are not good spells, let me tell you. And, we are creating and manifesting much lower frequencies.
mm,
So I really want to just bring forward something where people, like, it's not even about me anymore, Dave. It's about being of service. So I love writing music. I love music. That's what I want to do. But then it's for everybody else. It's spells for other people to uplift and hopefully connect with and
mm.
hopefully resonate with. And then it's gone and done and we move on.
I love that. I agree. I feel like there's a polarization going on. Thank you, by the way, also. Thank you for sharing everything you just shared.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry, I thought, oh my gosh, it's 11:11. I just looked on the.
Yeah.
Sorry, just look at the time.
Boom.
Um,
No, thank you for sharing
oh
everything.
yeah, I
That's
always feel like rabbit
really
on. So
no, no,
sorry,
no, no,
I
no,
do.
no, no, no,
Oh,
never, never, never. Right. So I was going to say there's a polarization. This is just the way that I see things. Okay.
sorry. Yeah, I'm dropping
um,
you. It's all going off.
oh my God, chaos.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a polarization going on in the way I
Mm-hmm.
see it, and it's in everything. I think with the world we're living in, AI is you know catapulting us, skyrocketing us into, we're already in the future, in this really sort of like space age, mad time. And then there's this old world, there's this sort of other part. It's like the new world, old world. And
Mm.
I see it in music. I see it in music and in the arts. It's not just music; it's the films
Yeah,
being
of
made. You
course.
know, because I think a lot of people are craving the old world still. They still. I think it's great. I'm a massive fucking advocate for it. That I'm in the old world camp. Partially, I do have to be in the new world because it's we're in that as well. But I really have a lot of nostalgia to the old times. What I'm trying to say is this summer there's a lot of old bands that are going back on tour from the 90s that are all doing live. Look at Oasis, there's Blur, there's all these people that are coming back, and maybe they're skint, but maybe they're. I don't think they are. I think it's more to do with the fact that it's needed. We need this like live, organic, how it's meant to be,
Yeah.
like connection with the people that want to be connecting to it. There's this sort of like synergy that's going on that people are really reluctant to go into this new world. There's a lot of people that are already in it and love it, and a lot of the music that's being made. There's a huge contrast between the music that's from the future. Is that the future of music, or do we need to sort of pull it back a bit and go backwards and hold on to this beautiful time? Because all the music that I listen to, well, all of it literally is from, when you could hear the crackle
Yeah. But
and
the thing,
you know what I mean? That's just
yeah,
the way.
oh,
That's
for
just the way. That's the
sure.
way I see it. It's
But
just
you
the way
have
I
to
see it.
remember, we are also at that time where I always said I'd never do this, but it wasn't like that in our day. We are like that as well, aren't we?
I
We've
know.
got that because all those
I
bands are
know.
from the time.
I
But
know.
I go rewind even further to the 50s, 60s,
I
and
know.
oh God, the music, because it was raw and authentic. And the difference was then was that they could track 3 to 5 takes, and it would have
Yeah.
to be the full band done. There wasn't like
Yeah.
you couldn't, there's not the technology there is now. But obviously there will never be that time again. There'll be a new time. For me, I can only speak for myself and what I want to do, but I certainly am going to start from the ground roots up again,
Good.
and stop um the polishing. Let's not polish. Let's just be honest and real. That's where I want to come from. But of course, new technologies with music has also allowed wonderful things to happen as well. So
Mm.
I believe in life, everything comes around again, doesn't it? It seems to go so far that way, then the other way, then we find a balance, and then this, and then that. So hopefully things, people are becoming more aware of the chemicals we're eating, putting on our body. That's
Yeah.
becoming more aware. We're having more awareness with that. Same with like plastics and recycling and all of this stuff. And same with music, and
Yeah. Yeah.
for me personally, one thing that's made me sad to be a part of is this disposable culture where it's been quick meals, quick relationships, swipe left, swipe right, tap. I do it on music on Spotify. I listen to a song for 10 seconds. I'm like, no, move on. I do it too. And that's like, back in our day, we'd have to listen. I'd buy an album a week if I was lucky, and I'd have to.
Vinyl.
Well, it wasn't vinyl in my time; it was CD instead. I'm afraid, but vinyl
Uh,
even better. But you'd
um,
have to sit and listen to that vinyl or that CD because that's
yeah.
all you had. So
Yeah.
track three that you disliked at the beginning became your favorite one 2 months later because you know
Yeah.
what I mean, and because it was tangible, you could hold it, you could touch it, you could feel it, you could smell it. Whereas now everything's a tap tap flick. Same with money when we pay for stuff, so it's not as
I
valuable
know.
anymore. If you know, well, that's
I know.
again, I can only speak for myself, but that's how I
No.
feel about it all.
Yeah. No.
So I want us to bring back the touch, the taste, the feel, the smell, the going to a gig and that energy, electrifying energy of true, authentic talent just being up there. And, another thing that really frustrates me is that, we idolize these people that, in my eyes, shouldn't be idolized because behind closed doors, they're not even that nice and they do not nice things. And, we should idolize, we should look up to people, but we should just be learning to love ourselves a bit more. And, when people are up on stage, it should be because they love to do it, but also to give back. It's not about the star and the show. It's about
Mm,
everything. It's about every single member of staff that works there, every single
mm,
person that's bought a ticket, and no one is more valuable. Everybody's the same. And I think when we start applying these well, this is what I want to bring forward. because I think the energy will be very different then.
Yeah.
And no more like loads of drugs and alcohol, and it's a darker energy, isn't it? So there's no
Mm.
judgment, because I used to be a raving drug addict, but it's just it should be nice to come out uplifted and really wholesomely uplifted.
Yeah, no, I agree. Couldn't have said it better myself. That was amazing. I want to touch on, because I haven't got you for too long. I know you're busy. I'm grateful to have you for the time we have.
Oh,
Um,
you're so welcome.
I want you to touch on um, this. You've realised that you want to connect to this part of you that you had this. We were talking before we recorded. What was you saying about the not the potions? That's the wrong word. That sounds like it sounds like you're
The witch. What's going on? What was that? Oh,
um. What would you call them?
perfumes.
Perfumes. Bloody hell! Why is this calling potions? So elaborate.
Well, no, it's not really interesting. I really love, I just keep getting connected to these little beautiful old hand blown bottles. And I absolutely love perfume and smells and incense and rose. And it feels like it takes me back to another life. And I just wanted to, it's not really relevant. I'm sure no one actually cares. I don't know why we're talking about this, but yeah, I just wanted to start trying to do something, an organic, natural, really delicious fragrance. So I was going to just start trying to conjure up how I do that and just do it for friends.
I think no, but I think it's
Maybe I could
great.
sell it on tour.
No, I think you're onto something there.
Beth's batches.
I think you're onto something. But no, it's the way that you came about like having this, because you connected to the reason I brought it up is because the way you said it earlier, you said it so well. You've connected to this part of you that it's all about expression, and it's what you realize is something that you resonate with, and it's
Oh, it's
you,
just, yeah, it's a passion I want to explore,
yeah,
basically.
that's
Yeah, and there's a couple of other things I really want to explore as well. And this year, when we was 5 years ago now, Dave, but I bought. Did you buy me the guitar? I think you bought it. Did I buy it? Anyway, I've got a guitar and a piano, and we went together to get the piano. And I've never really resonated with it, and I feel like I'd like to pick that up this year. And understanding that what we have to, you and I are very passionate about this, but we try not to go, "What's your name? What's your age?" Because it puts limits. The society puts limits on what you should do at any time.
absolutely.
So I've decided I kind of like starting again at what I feel like I'd have liked to have done in my early 20s, and recreate my life the way I want to recreate it,
Hmm.
because there's so much I want to do. So I've just decided to just pursue it and just go for it. And, I've been working in a job to fund, because I'm an independent artist, to fund my projects. But now I've decided just to jump full time into pranic healing and music. And I just feel so excited about it all and have more time to express and explore. And just basically, we can, learning that all of us, even as hard as it can feel and as constricted as we feel in life, especially when situations are tough, but we can make changes. And I truly believe, and I think my friends get annoyed at me for this, because I'm like, no, you can make change. You can always make change. It might feel like you're stuck in a room with no holes, but there's always holes, and you can always find them to get through. There's always lights in those holes, and there's always a
Yeah.
way to get out. Always. I am not in belief that there isn't. Um, and I just kind of want to try something new, because what I've realized, Dave, is that life is so short. And we've lost a lot of, we've we lost someone really dear to us this year, and it just got me thinking how precious life is, and how I don't want to be on
Mm,
my deathbed going, God, I wish I'd done that. I'd much rather go, oh yeah, shit, did that. That was terrible, but at least I
mm,
tried. They go, oh, what could have been? I don't ever want to live that anymore. I don't want to live in fear. I don't want to live in,
mm.
but as I'm saying this to you, the only reason I've been able to do this is because of the pranic healing, truly. is because of the treatments, the meditations, the stuff that I do daily that has improved my life beyond recognition. You know, so it's not me being amazing and strong, and it's actually because
Yeah.
I've found this thing that works and helps. But you know, I'm just excited to live life, and I really hope that anyone that listens to this just taps into their beautiful true self and gets excited for life as well, because there's so much. Even if you're going through a horrible, horrible time, you know, I've been there. My gosh, Dave's been there. We really have been to hell. Things always get better and usually far beyond your
Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah, yeah. And I just want to end on this. That's amazing. I really, I can feel the gratitude that you've got in your life. You always used to say gratitude, but I can really tell that you're feeling it now, and it's a difference. It's a huge difference.
Yeah, but really grateful.
Yeah,
No,
exactly
no,
that.
I'm really
It's
grateful.
that we've got to connect to the force of the spirit of it, of the energy of it, the power of gratitude, the emotion of it. If we don't feel it, it's just a word, and I can really get that from you. Just to end on this, right? Just to end on this, would you say that you mentioned Les, and I
Yes.
know Les, your teacher? You called him your teacher, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I would say mentor even, yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Mentor. Yeah.
right. So would you say that is a huge component for anyone listening? Do you feel that you could have done this on your own?
No, absolutely not. And I have no, um, there's, no way could I've done this on my, if being truly honest with you, and I'm not even lying, I think I'd be dead.
I know you would, yeah.
Yeah. And so no, like I'm for me it was asking for help. I never asked for help. I never let
Mm,
anybody in. I really struggled to trust anyone. And I felt such low self-esteem. I didn't think I deserved it. But you know, I had to ask for help, and help was given, and given, like, honestly, Les Flitcroft has saved my life. That man is one of the most, if not the most remarkable soul and normal human. He's so normal but so
mm,
wonderful, and not normal in any way, but just, yeah, he's absolutely incredible. And
mm.
he taught me pranic healing. He teaches it all over the country, all over Ireland as well. And if you want to change your life, then please go online, go on www.ukpranichealing.co.uk and just research it. Have a look at it. It says how it works. It explains. And if just get a treatment, book a session with a, there's many healers on there. I'm actually on there as well. And or just book a course, level 1, just start the journey, because I'm telling you, it is life changing. And I'm so grateful. I actually, honestly, I wake up most days. I did a post about it this morning on Instagram. I was like, I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful because, Dave, I tried everything.
I know, I
And
know.
this deep, dark feeling inside of me that wouldn't leave. It was sinister, and it just wouldn't leave me. And I was tormented and tortured. I tortured myself my whole life. And
Mm,
I was so unhappy. I just wanted to die. I couldn't, honestly, I was so awfully in bits my whole life. And then
hmm.
found this. I tried everything and then found this. And my life is like just so, I'm so happy. I'm so happy
I'm
now.
I'm
Uh,
so I'm so happy that you're happy. I really
And
am.
and that's why, for me, thank you, Dave. And I'm so happy you're happy too. And but I just want other people to be happy, and
Yeah,
I don't want people to struggle. And that's my striving for life, is just to prevent that. And this way I know works.
yeah.
So just check
All
it
right.
out.
Well, look, in the spirit of what you teach, don't take Beth's word for it. Go and find out for yourself. I'm going to put a link in. I'm going to put a link in, all right, on the description. So that
Have you promoted your book as well? Has anyone read his lovely, incredible book? Have
nah,
you done a podcast? Shall we do a podcast, me interviewing you?
if you want,
Maybe this is to
if you
be
want,
continued.
yeah, I'm kind of yeah, you know me.
Should we
I'm doing
plug
it.
your book, because it
Uh,
is absolutely amazing? So
yeah.
it deserves a little mention before we go off air.
Well, you know me. I'm doing a little. I'm not gonna self promote. you
No, but
know.
you're not, you don't have to because I've opened the door. You just got
Okay,
to
all right.
just
It's
give it a
called.
little tickle.
All right, I'll begrudgingly promote it. It's called Manifesto for a Misled Youth.
And it's truly incredible.
There you go.
And yeah, you've spent a lot of time on this, and you've just, you speak so openly and honestly and funnily and cleverly about your life, and it really is a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful piece of art.
Okay.
So, guys, go check it out, and I'm saying that from my absolute heart.
Okay, thanks, B. I'll do a bank transfer after we've stopped
Yeah,
recording.
yeah, I don't even like you really. No, I take that, but I love you. I do.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Dave,
Right.
thank you so much for having me on your wonderful
No problem.
podcast series.
We'll speak soon. And yeah, thank you for your time, man.
Oh,
And
you're so welcome.
you're a good fucking egg, and you're an incredible person, human being. You're an inspiration. Keep being a badass.
Oh, that's very kind. And you too.
Okay. See you soon. Take care.
Lots
Bye.
of love to everyone.
Bye bye.